Okay, so now we have Server 2008 Enterprise installed. We're going to go ahead and log in and show you some basic configuration options to start. Log in on virtual machine by hitting Control-Alt-Insert or on a regular computer by Control-Alt-Delete. Now, you're going to see your users that you've made in your setup. Let's go ahead and use administrator and type in our administrator password. Now that we're logging in, we come up to the desktop, and the first thing that'll pop up is the initial configuration tasks. This here will guide you through configuring your server right off the bat. So here we're going to provide computer information for the first step and set time zone. Here you can check your time zone if it's not the correct time zone. In this case it is for me. But I'll show you where it is. You click on the actual set time zone option and it'll bring up date and time. From here you can choose change date and time and then have the options to set your date and time. Since we don't need to make any changes, we won't, and we'll hit OK, and we'll also just hit OK to close that off. Our network configurations, we're going to leave it as DHCP for now. That's Dynamic Host Control Protocol, which is an automatic IP address from a DHCP server, which will be covered in another video. As for our networking options, let's just leave them how they are. We are down below here. You can see we're connected to the internet. So we'll just leave that for now, but we will have an episode on configuring the network itself. Any server should have a static IP address. Provide computer name and domain. Here, there's NM base server is the full computer name, and workgroup network mines. You can click it to change the settings again, but we don't need to at this point. We already have our description and our computer name how we want, so that there is set up just fine. Okay, so update the server. First thing they want us to do is enable automatic updating. So let's go ahead and click that and enable Windows automatic update and feedback. Yes. Alright, so it'll start downloading updates now. And here we go, download and install updates. So we'll go and click that button. It says check for updates on your computer. Always install the latest updates, enhance security and performance. And you can check this button here, which will enable your updates. So now that they're on, we'll let that chooch in the background and close it down. And this here will update on its own later on. Customize this server. A server can have roles. So here we can click this and install and configure the roles. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm hovering over it and a yellow box pops up. So let's just read what that says. Install and configure the roles or primary functions you want to use the server to perform, such as file sharing and file services role. So if we want to add roles and services to what the server does, here you can see a list of them, and we'll go through these at another time. We're going to install Active Directory, domain services, we'll go over certificate services, federation services, each one of these individually, with the ones that we can anyway, and show you them individually. So for now though, we're going to cancel that off, and we're not going to add any roles at this point. Add features. Now the difference between a feature and a role is more like a service, something that it provides or does, and a feature is more of an add-on. So a role would be, say, group policy, being a group policy server. And a feature would be group policy management. So we're just, again, we're going to leave these on the back burner for now, but we will be going through them and showing you the different features and how we can use them to make our lives a little easier. If you're in IT, you might know that sometimes our systems, our servers get set up in a closet. So enable remote desktop is sometimes the best thing to do. That allows you to remotely connect to the server and manage it from there. Also, there's configure Windows Firewall here, and we can turn the firewall on and off. It's by default, it's on, and that's what we're going to want. So we'll leave that as well. So there's the basic overview of the configuration options. We can close that off. We'll click on Start, right click on Computer, and go to Properties. With that done, you can see now our main system information here. We have Server Enterprise. It's Service Pack 1 currently. We gave ourselves a gig of RAM, 64-bit operating system, and some processors, core processors here. So that's basically it. It's not activated right now. And to do that, we'd have to put in our product key and stuff. But where this is a demo and where this is a base configuration, I don't want to enable and activate it right now. We'll make a copy of this operating system once it's updated, and we'll activate them individually. So here from the properties, again, I click on Start, right click on Computer, and go to Properties. I then get my system information, and from there, there's some main things to use, like Device Manager. Device Manager will show us all of our hardware that's installed on the operating system, in this case server, and we check it and make sure that everything's installed and working fine. If something isn't working fine, you'll see a little yellow exclamation mark beside it, or a yellow question mark, or a red X. Those all indicating different things. So those would be individual fixes that we'll put on another video. Remote settings, again, if your server needs to be remoted, we can enable them from here. If you do enable remote desktop, you can either allow connections from computers running any versions of remote desktop, so it'd be like older versions of remote desktop, or you could choose this one, which is allow connections only from newer running remote desktop with network level authentication. NLA will be covered in another episode, and also that's all your servers and things would have to, all your connections would have to come from this in particular. So this is just for legacy. This middle option, allow connections from anywhere, is a legacy option. If I want to choose users who are allowed to connect remotely, I can simply do that through this option here. Again, these options will all be gone over more thoroughly in their own specific videos. You'll also see advanced system settings. Okay, so you'll see that the system properties dialog box keeps coming up no matter what I click here. Oops, of course it's going to lag on me here. Remote settings, okay. System properties dialog box. I could just click these tabs and go through them. Okay, so the advanced tab, we have performance, so we can set our options for performance. If we have a slower system and you want your system to focus on just running services and things, you can use these options here. User profiles, this is native to all Windows operating systems, or most anyway, and basically it just allows you to manage your users. Startup and recovery, here is the boot up options. When your computer starts, it'll say Server 2008 there, and we want to display it for 30 seconds. Now, this option here, we don't need it to display it for 30 seconds. It's just going to go right to it. It doesn't even use this anyway, so we'll just turn it off. On a system failure, automatic restarts checked. In a production environment, I would like to leave this on. Now, in a test environment, I'm going to turn it off. And the reason is because if there is a system failure, I want my system to be off when I come back to it and know there was a system failure. So I'm going to leave it off, and I'm going to leave my debugging information. You can dump it all to a file. I'll just leave it right there how it is. So from that, the other basic configuration would be your desktop configuration settings. That's another video that I've already created. And aside from that, what we're going to do is install these updates here. It says 83 important updates available. Okay, that's cool. Let's install the updates. And malicious software tool, do you agree to our terms? Yeah, of course. What else options do I have? So we'll go ahead and let those install, and then we'll come back and do specific tasks on Server 2008 Enterprise. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll just let these go ahead and install. I'll reboot my computer and we'll get into the meat and potatoes.